Welcome, dear viewers. Today, we are going to talk about a book that has the power to change how you see your entire life. We are talking about Mastery by Robert Greene. Every single person comes into this world with a purpose, a unique calling that is theirs alone. But here is the problem: most people never recognize what that true purpose is. From the moment we are children, we are taught what is right and what is wrong, what we should do and what we should not do. Our schools, our society, our families, they all work together to prepare us to walk on a predetermined path. They tell us to be safe, to be secure, to follow the rules. But the people who truly achieve something remarkable, the ones who leave a mark on the world, are the ones who break free from that mold. They are the ones who recognize their true calling, their real passion, and they have the courage to pursue it. Think back to when you were a child. What did you love doing more than anything else in the world? Maybe you loved taking things apart to see how they worked. Maybe you were a natural storyteller, weaving tales that captivated your friends. Maybe you could sit for hours, completely lost in the world of your drawings. In childhood, we all have a faint idea of our calling. But as we grow older, that small, quiet voice gets drowned out by the noise of the world. Society tells us to choose a safe career, become a doctor, an engineer, get a government job, start a conventional business. But what society deems safe or successful is not necessarily your true path. So, the first and most important question becomes, how do you recognize your calling? The simplest way to find the answer is to ask yourself one honest question: what brings you genuine joy? What activities can you lose yourself in for hours without ever feeling bored? What work doesn't feel like work to you, but like play? Let's imagine a child who has always been passionate about writing stories. But his family pushes him towards science. He studies science, he gets good grades, but is he truly happy? He might be successful by the world's standards, but inside, he will always feel unfulfilled. If you haven't yet identified your calling, the very first step is to silence the voices of the world. Turn down the volume of what everyone else expects of you and listen to your own inner voice. Search your soul and find that one thing that gives you true peace and satisfaction. Now, many people will say that passion doesn't pay the bills. But the truth is, if you identify your real passion and you work on it in the right way, that very thing can bring you both success and financial abundance. And if you are thinking that you have waited too long, that it is too late for you, you are wrong. There are countless stories of great people who discovered their true calling later in life. Take Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC. He was 60 years old when he found his true calling and achieved massive success. If he had thought that it was too late, the world would never have tasted his famous fried chicken. So, if you want to do something great with your life, recognizing your calling is the first step. This doesn't mean you should immediately quit your job and chase your passion recklessly. It just means that you need to start taking steps in that direction, however small. If you love painting, paint a little every day. If you want to write a few words every single day. Big journeys start with small steps, and when you consistently move toward your passion, the paths begin to open up for you on their own. Every person has a special talent hidden inside them. The problem is that we either take too long to recognize it, or we simply ignore it. But the day you truly understand your real talent, your life will start moving in a completely different direction. So, look back at your childhood memories, identify your passion, and take that first step toward your calling. Once you have recognized your calling, the next step is to turn it into reality. But merely recognizing it won't do you any good. The real game begins when you start to work hard to become an expert in that field. This is what Robert Greene calls the apprenticeship phase. In this phase, you have to learn like a student. You need to sharpen your skills, learn new methods, take lessons from your mistakes, and practice constantly. If you want to achieve mastery in any field, you must first immerse yourself in the learning process. Many people ignore this stage because they want to become successful quickly. But the truth is, without dedicated learning and hard work, you cannot sustain success in the long run. Think about it: if a boy wants to become a cricketer but has never practiced batting for hours on end, can he ever become a player like Virat Kohli or Sachin Tendulkar? Absolutely not. Behind every great player, artist, businessman, or scientist lies years of hard work and a rigorous learning process. In this stage, one of the most crucial things is finding the right mentor. A good mentor can correct your mistakes, show you the right direction, and accelerate your growth. Whenever you are learning something new, surround yourself with people who know more than you do. Learn from them, understand their experiences, and take their advice seriously. But just following someone is not enough. You also have to experiment on your own. The real meaning of learning is that you are not confined to just books or lectures, you must do things with your own hands. Suppose you are interested in photography. Simply buying a camera or watching endless YouTube videos won't make you a photographer. You have to go out, click thousands of pictures, and learn from each shot you take. The biggest challenge in the apprenticeship phase is patience. Many people give up after some effort because they feel they are not becoming successful fast enough. But the reality is, every great person has endured this phase. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, was rejected from countless jobs. But they never stopped learning. They kept working hard, and today, their companies are among the largest in the world. When you start learning something new, in the beginning, you will feel like you are worthless, that you can't do anything right. But this happens to everyone. When a person first learns to ride a bicycle, they fall. When someone tries to sing for the first time, their voice doesn't come out right. But the ones who cross this phase are the ones who become true masters. The purpose of the apprenticeship is to improve your skills day by day, to understand your work deeply, and gradually reach a level where your skills start to stand out from the rest. So, if you have identified your calling, it is time to learn. Think like a student. Throw yourself into the process. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, and try to learn something new every single day. This is the path that will lead you to mastery. As you embark on this journey of learning, the most crucial quality you need is humility. If you truly want to become an expert, you must accept that, right now, you know nothing. This mindset will prepare you to learn. Often, people make the mistake of thinking they are already very smart, which makes them unwilling to learn from others. But the greatest strength of anyone who becomes great is that they always see themselves as a student. Imagine a new cricketer who joins the team and on the very first day, thinks he is better than Virat Kohli or MS Dhoni. Will he ever learn? No, because he lacks the hunger to learn. But if that same player is ready to learn from his seniors, to take lessons from their mistakes, and to openly accept his own shortcomings, his growth will be exponentially faster. Humility is essential for learning because until you admit that you need to learn, you cannot progress. Humility doesn't mean you undervalue yourself. It just means that you are always ready to learn with an open mind. Many people cannot progress because they don't value the advice of others. They think they know everything, and this very thought stops their growth. True mastery begins when you start recognizing your own mistakes and working to correct them. Suppose you want to become a writer. If you believe your first book will be a bestseller and that you need to learn nothing from anyone, you will never write anything good. But if you accept that you still have a lot to learn, you read books by other good writers, you understand their style, and when someone points out a mistake, you accept it with an open heart. Your skills will improve rapidly. To learn, you must get close to the people who are already ahead in that field. Listen to them, learn from their experiences, and whenever someone gives you advice, take the time to understand it. Often, people cannot learn because of their ego. They think that if they learn from someone, they will look small. But the truth is, the more you bend to learn, the more you will progress. Think of yourself as an empty clay pot. If it is already full of water, how can you pour new water into it? Similarly, if you think you are already perfect, how can new knowledge enter you? So, keep your pot empty so you can learn something new every day. The most successful people in the world are those who always consider themselves students. Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla and SpaceX, also says that he learns something new every day. If such great people are ready to learn, then why shouldn't we be? Humility in the learning process is also important because it brings patience and resilience. When you learn with humility, you are not afraid of your mistakes. You are ready to correct them. This mindset leads you to mastery. Therefore, if you want to become a master in any field, the first step is to bring humility into your life. Always see yourself as a student. Be ready to learn, and whenever someone teaches you something new, embrace it with your heart. This thinking will take you ahead of others and multiply your growth. When you are on the path to achieving mastery, the biggest mistake most people make is trying to avoid difficulties. But real growth happens where there are challenges. If you keep looking for the easy way out, you will never reach the place you actually want to go. Think about it, if a person wants to become a bodybuilder but avoids lifting heavy weights because of the pain, will he ever become strong? No. His muscles will only grow when he goes beyond his limits, when he feels the pain, and when he constantly challenges his body. The same rule applies to everything. When you are progressing in any field, you will have to face things that seem difficult. Many people are afraid of challenges and think they will do them later or find an easier way. But by doing this, they only harm themselves. The thing that seems the most difficult is the very thing that gives you the most growth. When you are afraid to do something, it means that you should do that very thing first, because facing your fears is what makes you strong. Imagine you want to become a writer, but you are afraid of speaking in public. You think you can write well, but when it comes to presenting your ideas in front of people, you get nervous. Now you have two choices: either you keep running from this fear and never work on it, or you face it. You take small steps, gradually putting yourself in situations where you have to speak in public. It will be difficult at first, but as you keep doing it, your fear will diminish and your confidence will grow. Every great person in history has faced immense difficulties in their journey. If they had run away from challenges, perhaps they would have never become great. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. But he didn't give up. He worked on his weaknesses, improved himself, and today he is considered one of the greatest basketball players in the world. Another major disadvantage of running from difficulties is that you never get to know how much you can truly achieve. Often, we think something is beyond our capability, but when we muster the courage to do it, we realize we are far stronger than we ever thought. When you move toward difficult tasks, your abilities increase, your confidence grows, and you slowly become the kind of person who can face any challenge. If a child wants to learn to ride a bicycle, but doesn't even try because he is afraid of falling, will he ever learn? No. But if he keeps practicing every day, despite the falls, his grip will strengthen, and one day he will ride without any fear. This principle applies to everything. Whenever you progress in anything, you will face difficulties. But if you are ready to face them instead of avoiding them, these very difficulties will make you stronger. So, the next time you try to avoid a challenge, ask yourself one question: am I really moving forward by running from this difficulty, or am I just holding myself back? If you are ready to face your fears, if you are ready to take on difficult tasks, then you are on the path that will truly lead you to mastery. When you have built a good grasp of a skill, the next step is to try new approaches, experiment, and develop your own unique style. The real purpose of learning is not just to do what has been prescribed but to add something new to it. However, Most people stop at this stage because they are afraid that if they try something new and fail, it will be a disaster. This fear is what stops their growth. To experiment, you need to look at your thinking with an open mind. When you have learned the basics of any field, it is time to adapt those things in your own way. Think about it: if a musician only plays songs that have already been written, will he ever create his own style? If a painter only copies the paintings of others, will he ever create a unique identity? No. True mastery comes when you have the courage to use the knowledge you have gained to create something new. Every great innovation has come from experimentation. If Thomas Edison hadn't tried new approaches, we wouldn't have the light bulb. If Steve Jobs had clung to traditional thinking, perhaps we wouldn't have the iPhone today. Any great artist, scientist, businessman, or sportsman can only move forward when they try to do things in new ways. However, it's important to understand that experimentation cannot be done without learning. First, you must have a solid grasp of the basics. Only then can you muster the courage to do something new. Imagine you want to become a chef. If you haven't learned the basic cooking techniques, you cannot create your own recipe. But if you know the basics well, you can experiment with different spices and create something new that perhaps no one has done before. Experimenting doesn't mean you start doing things blindly without thinking. It means you use your experience to try new ideas, without the fear of whether they will work or not. Often, people don't experiment because they are afraid of failure. But the truth is, you always learn something from every experiment. If you succeed, great. If you don't, you will still understand which methods don't work. If you are a businessman launching a new product for your company, and you only follow the old methods, you won't be able to achieve anything new. But if you have the courage to design your product in a new way, if you come to the market with a different idea, it might become a huge hit. The most important thing is not to be afraid to experiment. When you try something new, in the beginning, people may not understand you. Some of your ideas might fail. But this is a process. The more you experiment, the more your mind will open, and you will be able to see things from a different perspective. In this world, the biggest recognition has been given to those who did something different, something new. If you want to stand in the crowd, you keep doing what everyone is doing. But if you want to create your own identity, you must have the courage to walk on new paths. You have to do what perhaps no one has done before, and for this, there is no better way than experimentation. So, if you want to become an expert in any field, after learning, the next step is to start experimenting with your skills. Do it without fear, without worrying about what people will say. Because when you believe in yourself and try something new, your real growth begins from there. Whenever we start something new or try to achieve a big goal, we will inevitably face failure along the way. But the problem is not that we fail. The real issue is how we perceive failure. Most people see failure as a roadblock and give up. But those who are truly successful see it as a means of learning. If you want to become a master in any field, you must understand that failure is not your enemy, it is your best teacher. Every time you fail, you find out what doesn't work, and the sooner you understand this, the sooner you can reach your goal. When a child learns to walk, how many times does he fall? But he doesn't give up after falling. He gets back up and tries again. If he were to stop walking because he was afraid of falling, would he ever learn to walk? The same applies to every area of life. If you give up after every failure, you will never move forward. Many people don't progress because they take failure too seriously. They think that if they failed at something, it means they can never succeed at it. But this is not true. The truth is, failure only shows you that you need to change your strategy. When Thomas Edison was trying to invent the light bulb, he failed thousands of times. But he never considered it a failure. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset is what made him great. If you develop the habit of learning from your failures, nothing can stop you from succeeding. Whenever you fail at something, ask yourself, what did I learn from this failure? Do I need to change my preparation? Should I change my strategy? Do I need to work harder? When you think this way, every failure will make you stronger. Suppose you start a new business and it doesn't work out. You now have two paths. Either you decide that you are not cut out for business and give up, or you try to understand where you went wrong. Did you not have a proper understanding of the market? Did you not promote your product correctly? Was your strategy flawed? If you find answers to these questions and correct your mistakes, your chances of success next time will multiply. Every successful person has faced failure. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, was rejected from many jobs, and even KFC rejected him. But he didn't give up. He learned from his mistakes, and today he is one of the most successful businessmen in China. The great cricketer Sachin Tendulkar also had many failures in his career, but he never gave up. When he was out of form, he would work on his errors, correct his technique, and perform better the next time. This is why he became one of the greatest players in cricket history. The most important thing for learning from failure is patience. Many people fail because they give up too soon. But if you can stick with it for the long haul, keep learning, and keep correcting your mistakes, you can succeed in any field. Another important thing is to stop being afraid of failure. Often, people don't even try because they are afraid they will fail. But the real loss is when you don't try at all. Even if you do fail, what's the difference? At least you learned something new that will make you better next time. So, if you truly want to achieve mastery in something, make failure your strength. Learn from it and move forward stronger each time. The sooner you understand this, the sooner you will move toward success. When you work in any field for a long time, learning from your mistakes and constantly trying to improve, a time comes when a special kind of understanding develops inside you. This understanding is not based solely on logic. It also involves a deep intuition that comes from experience. This is the stage where you don't just rely on things you've learned from books, but you also start making decisions based on your inner experience and gut feeling. If you have worked hard in a field for years, you may have noticed that sometimes, without thinking much, you make the right decision. This happens because your mind has delved so deep into that subject that it starts recognizing patterns and understanding things naturally. You get a feeling that something is right or wrong, even if you don't have a solid reason for it. This is the true sign of mastery. But to reach this stage, you have to use both logic and intuition. If you rely only on logic, you will take too much time to make decisions, and you will analyze everything so deeply that you might miss opportunities. On the other hand, if you rely only on intuition and make decisions without thinking, it can also be dangerous. True mastery comes when you learn to balance logic and intuition. Think of a doctor who has been treating patients for years. When he sees a new case, he doesn't just depend on what he has read in books. His experience has taught him to look at the patient's body language, symptoms, and small details to guess where the real problem might be. That is his intuition, developed through years of experience. But at the same time, he also uses logic. He orders tests, looks at medical reports, and then makes a firm decision. If you are at the beginning of your journey, you must focus more on logic. You have to understand everything deeply, analyze, ask questions, and keep learning. But as your experience grows, so will your intuition. There will come a time when, without much thinking, you will start making the right decisions because your mind will have already recognized so many patterns in that field that it won't take much time to understand. Great artists, businessmen, scientists, and players use this technique. They don't just rely on bookish knowledge, they learn from their experiences and strengthen their intuition. When Steve Jobs was designing new products for Apple, he didn't just rely on market research or data. He used his experience and intuition to understand what people might like, and that is why his products stood out from anything else in the world. To strengthen your intuition, it is essential that you immerse yourself completely in your field. When you repeatedly do something, experiment constantly, learn from your mistakes, and try to become better, your mind gradually begins to recognize the patterns. Then, you won't need to overthink which decision is right and which is wrong. Another powerful thing to note is that intuition can be strengthened not just by experience, but also by observation. When you carefully observe the people around you, learn from their mistakes, and analyze their decisions, you can learn from them without having to make those mistakes yourself. Great leaders and businessmen do this. They learn not only from their own experiences but also from the experiences of others. When you reach this stage where both your logic and intuition work together, you reach a new level. Now you are not just following the rules, you are creating your own rules. Your decisions become faster, more impactful, and more precise. This is what distinguishes a master from an ordinary person. So, if you want to achieve mastery in any field, don't just read books or rely solely on logic. Increase your experience. Try to understand things for yourself. Learn from your mistakes and sharpen your intuition. When you start walking with both logic and intuition, you can achieve an extraordinary position in any field. When you are moving toward mastery in any field, one thing that can set you apart from everyone else is curiosity. This is the quality that is most abundant in children. Children look at everything with enthusiasm, they ask questions, they try to understand things, and they never think they know everything. If you maintain this mindset throughout your life, you will keep learning, keep progressing, and never stagnate. Many people stop learning after a certain age. They think they now know everything, or that they have already learned whatever they needed to. This very thought stops their growth. The moment you believe that you know it all, your capacity to learn ends. But those who remain as curious as children continue to explore new things, remain open to new ideas, and therefore keep moving forward. Think about it, if scientists had lost their curiosity to learn new things, would we have so many innovations today? If Newton had never asked why the apple falls down, perhaps the theory of gravity would never have been discovered. If Einstein hadn't questioned everything, his great discoveries would never have happened. Every great person maintained that childlike curiosity, which inspired them to discover new things. When you are progressing in any field, it's very important that you don't just accept things as they are, but try to understand the depth behind them. Suppose you want to become a painter. If you just look at others' paintings and copy them, you won't be able to do anything new. But if you try to understand why the artist created the painting in that way, why they chose specific colors, or what was going on in their mind at the time, you will start learning more deeply. The simplest way to maintain curiosity is to always ask questions. Whenever you see something, think about it, try to understand it deeply. Don't just stop at the surface, find the reasons behind things. If you want to start a business and you just assume that the method that is already working is the only right one, you won't progress much. But if you start asking questions about why things are done in a certain way and if there could be a better way, new ideas will start to flow into your mind. Often, people make the mistake of taking things too seriously and forgetting to have fun. But the more you enjoy exploring things, the more your mind will stay open. Children never do something just because they have to, they do it because they enjoy it. If you bring this mindset to your work, you will keep learning new things and never get bored. The most successful people in the world never think they know everything. They are always ready to learn new things, always exploring new possibilities, and always keeping that inner child's curiosity alive. This is why they never lag behind and always keep moving forward. If you also want to achieve mastery in any field, maintain that childlike curiosity. Understand everything deeply, keep asking questions, explore new ideas, and never think that you have it all figured out. When you adopt this mindset, your growth never stops, and you keep getting better. So, friends, this was our book summary for today. How did you like it? Do let us know in the comments. Thank you for listening to the summary till the very end.